Hello, YouTube. There is a fascinating image, artifact in a Russian museum that may actually depict an ancient astronaut or an alien or someone else. I'll describe it a little later. There's really scant information about it, but let me set the background for you. The Vladimir and Suzdal Museum was established back in 1958. Now the museum includes 45 museum exhibitions in Vladimir, Suzdal, and Gus-Hrustalny, Russian cities. 8 exhibition halls, 65 monuments of architecture, 7 of which are included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. The museum's inventory includes more than 440,000 items grouped into 38 stock collections. 17 professional restorers who work hard to preserve the national heritage. For example, only in 2018, they restored more than 1,500 items from the museum collections. So there is a lot in the archives of the museum, I guess, that they have to study and restore. Well, there is one unique object in the museum that has interested me more than other artifacts. Some people may see an alien in a spacesuit, an extraterrestrial in a spacesuit. Meanwhile, this graffiti on a piece of slate was found in Vladimir, in the Pecherny city. This is the ancient detinets built by Vladimir Monomakh. Slate is a fine-grained, foliated, homogeneous, metamorphic rock derived from an original shale-type sedimentary rock composed of clay or volcanic ash to low-grade regional metamorphism. It is the finest-grained, foliated, metamorphic rock. Detinets, or Detinets is the best word to use, is an ancient Russian fortress city, or the central fortified part of the city, similar to the meaning of the Kremlin or citadel. The origin of the term is uncertain. Some derive it from the Old East Slavic word deti, children, suggesting it was used to hide children and other less able people during a siege. At the moment, it is known that the detinets of the pre-Mongol invasion city of Vladimir did not coincide with the Kremlin of the 17th century city. In the 17th century, the Kremlin was called the entire fortified part of the Pecherny city, and in the 12th and 13th centuries, there was also a small citadel inside this city. The city of Monomakh, according to Russian scientist Voronin. This city, or detinets, had stone walls and was built during the reign of Prince Vsevolod the Big Nest. That's his nickname. He had a lot of children, so that's what they called him. In the drawing of 1801, the image of the detinets gate with a hipped roof built over it has been preserved. Plus, in the drawing, some stone blocks are visible. Perhaps these are the remains of the walls of Prince Vsevolod's detinets. Now, one can only guess about the location of the ancient citadel. Although during archaeological excavations, Voronin found stone blocks of the base of the gates of this citadel, it would be possible to leave them for viewing, but it's still a very significant object. I mean, the second gate in Vladimir. But no, the gates were buried because someone decided that the Russians do not need some ruins of the gate of the 12th century. Despite the fact that the walls of the stone detinets were found, there are many unresolved issues. Did the Vsevolod's detinets correspond to the ancient fortress of Vladimir? There is still no clear answer to the question of where the ancient city was located, and it doesn't matter who founded it, Vladimir Monomakh or Vladimir the Saint. Russian rulers. Perhaps the first fortress was located only on the southwestern promontory of the future Kremlin Hill. This is the place where the Uspensky Cathedral stands today. but maybe it was significantly larger and occupied the entire Kremlin hill, or maybe it was even on another hill of old Vladimir. Having told you this, let's get back to the alien image, if that is what it is. Researchers say that the drawing 3.2 by 2.9 by 0.8 centimeters was made sometimes between the 12th and 15th centuries, but others believe differently. To them, this is a heavy European knight in full armor. Helmets were simply terrifying back then. Look at the image of the knights. You decide. But you see, the Russians did not wear Western European armor. They had their own. And as far as I know, knights in Western Europe and old Russia had 5 fingers on each hand. Let me tell you a little bit more about the city. I think that's important because we're trying to find out if there is anything else in the ground of that city. Vladimir is a city and the administrative center of Vladimir region, Russia, located on the Klyazma River, 200 kilometers east of Moscow. Vladimir was one of the medieval capitals of Russia, with significant buildings surviving from the 12th century. 2 of its Russian Orthodox cathedrals, a monastery, and associated buildings have been designated as among the white monuments of Vladimir and Suzdal, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The history of the city of Vladimir goes back to the time immemorial. Even the date of its foundation is still being debated. According to one hypothesis, the city was founded in 1808 by Prince Vladimir Monomakh. According to another, in 1990 by Prince Vladimir the Baptist. Both dates have their supporters who refer to the chronicle sources that give contradictory information. But no matter when the city was founded, it becomes a more or less significant fortification under Vladimir Monomakh and his son Yuri Dolgoruk. The latter even rebuilt his courtyard in the city with a palace and St. George Church. However, Vladimir's real heyday came during the reign of Prince Andrei Bogolyubsky, the first Russian autocrat and collector of the lands. It was Andrei Bogolyubsky who in 1157 moved here from Suzdal, the capital of the Rostov-Suzdal Principality, which became known as the Grand Duchy of Vladimir, and after the prince established control over Kiev and Novgorod, Vladimir became the de facto political center of all Russia. In Vladimir itself, the prince was building new fortifications, a new city to the west of the Kremlin, and Vetchany, or ancient, town to the east of it. The city's most historically significant events occurred after the turn of the 12th century. Vladimir was besieged by Mongol Tartars of the Golden Horde under Batu Khan. It was finally overrun in February of 1238, Common Era. A great fire destroyed 32 limestone buildings on the first day alone, while the Grand Prince's family perished in a church where they sought refuge from the flame. This was the first military defeat of the city, which had been rapidly gaining political and economic weight for 3/4 of a century, since the reign of Andrei Bogolyubsky. After the Mongols, Vladimir never fully recovered. The Grand Prince escaped, but was killed at the Battle of Sit River the following month. But where was the drawing found? Where was this artifact found? I have no way to travel to Russia nowadays. It is not safe for me to do so. But I have some notes about the archaeology of the area. For 3 years, from 2006 to 2008, the expedition of the Institute of Archaeology of the Russian Academy of Sciences conducted rescue archaeological work in the oldest part of Vladimir. The site under study is located in the so-called Monomakh, or Pecherny city. The area of the excavations located near the Troitsky shaft, erected at the beginning of the 12th century, amounted to 2,500 square meters. The cultural layer in the study territory is mainly represented by deposits of the 16th to 19th centuries. The ancient Russian horizon has been preserved only in small areas and in the form of pits buried in the mainland. The layer of the 14th to 15th centuries it was not possible to identify. Only individual pits date from this time. The remains of 6 estates and traces of palisades belong to the pre-Mongol period, making the inter-household space and the street that crossed the northwestern part of Monomakh city from the north-northeast to the south-southwest, and went out to the modern Cathedral Square, where the trade gates and presumably the shopping area were localized. Probably in the pre-Mongol period, Vladimir, there was a linear transverse street layout system tied to the gates in the fortress wall and to the central highway running through the entire city from the golden to the silver gates. The northwestern part of the Monomakh city, located quite close to the detinets, was a rich area of ancient Vladimir. This is evidenced by the size of the excavated residential manor buildings, with underground areas ranging from 16 to 48 square meters. Let's look at the nature of the finds. First of all these items of distant import, glass vessels of Syrian and Byzantine production and some jewelry, irrigation ceramics, fragments of bronze and stone cauldrons, the handle of a Central Asian jug, and so forth. Fragments of trabezond and trillion amphora are especially numerous. The status items include an iron scribe, book claps, a gilded ring, crystal and carnelian beads. The remains of all residential buildings bear traces of a large fire, the most likely date of which is 1238. A warehouse of raw amber weighing more than 200 kilograms was discovered in the basement of one of them. Its lack of demand indicates the scale of the disaster that occurred, which led to the simultaneous death of the entire area of the city. So the object with the image of an alien or a knight or an extraterrestrial or someone else could have originated in other parts of the world and was brought to ancient Russia. We just do not know enough. Maybe someday there will be more excavations in Vladimir, or we will find similar slate object elsewhere on our planet. For example, in a nearby country, was slate artifact fashioned by hunter-gatherers in the 4th millennium before Common Era. In Finland, slate is certainly an exceptional material. Its physical, mechanical, and structural properties make it unique, and there is no other rock in nature which brings together so many favorable characteristics for a variety of uses. The Roman civilization, the basis of the Western world as we know it, was the first to extract, work, transport slate. In his writings, Pliny the Elder mentioned the existence of slate in Liguria, close to Genoa, although he did not describe quarries or regular quarrying of this rock. This is where we stand today with this interesting artifact, and like I said, we hope to find more. We'll continue the research, and if you like my research, please support me through the links you'll find in the description to this channel. Please tell others about my work. Please like my videos, and thank you for your attention to my work.